I just had it in my head that I'm going to do this no matter what it took. It was just chipping away one class at a time, not looking how far away my goal was, but just taking it one step at a time. They say the only way to move a mountain is one rock at a time. So that's what I was doing. And when I was applying for fire departments, every time I got told no, I just refused to take that as an answer, and I applied somewhere else, and I applied somewhere else. And I actually was in the process with Vacaville, got almost to the end. I was in backgrounds, and they said, we're gonna go with somebody else. And they told me no. A couple of years later, I came back. They liked that I was persistent, and they gave me the opportunity. The only person who doesn't get hired with the fire department is the person who stops trying. So if you're lacking in the physical fitness category, just start working at it little by little, and before you know it, with a good diet and consistent exercise, you don't have to kill yourself and work yourself to death, but just doing a little bit every day and getting better a little bit every day, eventually you're gonna move that mountain and you'll be ready. And like I said, here in Vacaville, you don't have to be, a top level athlete. We will get you to where you need to be. So as long as you're trying, we're gonna help you and we'll get you right where you need to be.
No matter your age, if something comes to your mind and you want to do it, right? And you're thinking, should I try this out? I don't know if I should. You're not going to know unless you try. I always try to tell people, keep going until you can't go anymore. And then when you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, stop, take a little mental break, look in the mirror, say, why am I really doing this? And then keep pushing again. Because I think even in my short 9 years, I haven't worked a day in my life. I love my job, I love my career, I love my family, I love my work family. And it's something that you shouldn't shy away from.
Have a nice resume put together. Do it, professionally. Have somebody look at it, proofread it. When you come in for, the interview, dress nice, wear a suit, look professional. Show that you're motivated. Come visit us. Come visit our firehouses. Okay, that has always been a thing that we valued, is for candidates to come and actually visit the firehouses, meet the people that work here, and tell us about your experience.
Off of that is the other preparation is, don't get into any trouble. Like, that's really big. Do not get into any trouble because, background checks, making sure you have that clean record, because that's big. So don't get into no trouble.
The best advice I can give, if you're going to be interviewing for San Diego Fire, seek help from San Diego Firefighters, because our interview process is very different. And if you don't seek help, the odds of passing an interview are very, very tough. Fire interviews are very challenging. For example, they may say, hey, tell me about yourself. Well, that's an education, training, experience question. So if you start answering the question by telling them about yourself, that's very difficult to score against the next person. Coupled with that interview preparation is just make yourself as valuable as possible. You're gonna have the minimum requirements, right? But you wanna try to grasp as many other things that will make you valuable also. And some things to talk about that's gonna set you apart in that interview process. For example, professional athlete is gonna set her apart because she can talk about all the experiences and how they relate to the fire service. Just things like that will make you a valuable candidate.
Woo! All right. Well, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Recruitment in the Spotlight. Today we're here with the Hayward Fire Department. Cool beans. Awesome. Blossom. So excited to be here. My name is Lasana Pakeman. I get to be your host today. She, her pronouns. Also the recruitment manager for Cal-JAC. And so just wanting you to know a couple different things before we get into the introductions of each of our guests. If you're not already, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications for future episodes and videos. We have content about the CPAT, FCTC written testing, fire departments that are hiring throughout the state, and so much more. Also, make sure you stick around. Toward the end, we're going to have some very special announcements for you. So joining me today is the Amanda Carlton. She's the testing specialist for the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center, also known as FCTC. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Lasana, thank you so much for joining us today. We want you to be interactive with us. Go ahead and put your name down in the chat. Let us know where you are joining us from. If you have any questions for Hayward Firefighter, we will be getting to those questions in real time. So go ahead and leave where you're from, what you're doing in your firefighter journey, and any questions that you have for the department. We will get to those.
Thank you. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and meet our panelists. We've been laughing it up the entire time. Very, very excited. And we'll start off with you, Chief Hamry.
I'm Ryan Hamry. I'm the Deputy Chief of Special Operations with the Hayward Fire Department. I've been in the fire service for 25 years, the last 20 with Hayward Fire.
Okay.
Samir Madzai, apparatus operator, and I've been with Hayward for 7 years.
Okay.
Cheyenne Davis, probationary firefighter, and I've been with Hayward for 8 months.
Congrats on the 8 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. Quentin Tartable, also probationary firefighter, and been on for 8 months as well.
Okay, and so you two were in the same academy, right?
Yes, my brother.
There we go. And you actually have a really funny story about Ritz. Yeah, do you care to share?
Yes. So, I was just in on the other side of the screen. I was watching your guys' episodes, and it definitely helped me a lot when it came to being able to get a better understanding on what you need to do to become a firefighter. So for me, it's just like a surreal moment to be able to give it back, pay it forward, and be here with you today. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're so happy to have you here. That's the coolest thing ever. And the first person on Ritz to be able to say that is not that long ago. You were watching these episodes, preparing. And now you're in the chief, and your chief is looking like you guys made a good decision. So good for you. Great decision. There we go. So also, we want to talk to you about what inspired you to become a Hayward firefighter, and just how'd you end up working for Hayward?
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with what inspired me to become a firefighter in general. Growing up playing football. I had coaches who were first responders, firefighters, police officers, and just the care they had for us. No kids on the team, and being able to, provide their support and mentorship. Growing up, I kind of carried that with me. And then getting into college, we did those roundtables at Cal Berkeley, where I met a bunch of great people that I always found myself being at that firefighter table, and being able to understand that it's like a seamless transition between sports and the fire service, you know, the team camaraderie, working hard together. And then from there, I had my son on the way, so it kind of was a career change for me. And I wanted to do something that is very honorable, and so chose the fire service. And so that was just generally what got me to the fire service. And then for Hayward specifically, the opportunities they've given me for growth between, you know, having open gym workouts. You know, I worked the mail route for about 7 months. So being able to learn and get to know the guys and just how opening they were, and to provide their mentorship to me was very impactful. And then on top of that, you know, being able to live within the city that you work was something that was super proud to be able to do. And so that was what more specifically with Hayward, and I think overall probably with everybody that joins our department, it just seemed like a calling. You know, you get drawn to our department.
Absolutely. And we also know and have so much love, so much respect for one of your mentors from Alameda County, Francis Blamey, who's a captain there. Can you tell us about that program and just kind of how you guys met and mentorship and what that looks like?
So going back to the roundtables at Cal, he was the main one who was giving his, you know, advice to us, and he's like one of the greatest mentors that someone can have. So from there, just being able to reach out to him, and I think the biggest thing with mentorship is staying consistent. I think it's really easy to fall off with, you know, lack of communication, but, you know, staying consistent and showing up and being a sponge and learning. You know, he taught me a lot when it came to, you know, what the fire service is, how to prepare for your interviews, which we can get into later. And just overall, again, it's bigger than the fire service, just becoming a great person. So yeah, big shout out to Captain Francis, and he's a big reason why I'm sitting in this seat right now.
Changing lives.
Yep.
There we go. So Samir, we're going to come to you next, and we would love to talk about your career path, how it evolved, and just did you have any moments where you felt like giving up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Antioch, California, in a really strict Muslim Afghan household. So I always wanted to do right by my family, and the undertone was that to do right by my family, I had to become an engineer or a doctor. There wasn't really any other options given, so I never really thought, oh, I can be a firefighter, or I could be anything else. It was always that. So went to school and pursued that throughout high school, but quickly realized that it just wasn't for me, and in spite of that pressure from the family to do that and do right by them, meeting firefighters in the community helped me out a ton. Actually, a current Hayward firefighter, Chris Castillo, kind of took me under his wing and guided me through that process, and I chose the non-linear path. So I was going to school to San Jose State to try to be an engineer. Dropped out of there. Chose to enroll in EMT school and paramedic school, like Firefighter Castillo told me. It definitely rubbed my family the wrong way, but totally fine. I realized that what drove me was, you know, being someone like him who gave to his community. Everyone in the community looked up to him. He never really had to tell anyone he was a firefighter, but I was like, you know, this is somebody who's always happy, always giving back. Like, what does he do? What does he do? And come to find out, he's a Hayward firefighter, and helped me through the process. I was broke at the time, so I couldn't afford a gym membership. He let me clean his gym for free and stay there, because otherwise I couldn't afford to be there. Never asked for really anything in return. And yeah, with the friction of my family, it definitely helped having someone there to kind of reassure me, like, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing. And yeah, went to medic school, did my internship with Berkeley Fire, so I got to dive into the fire service and kind of have a coming to in moments where I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me, but sitting at that coffee table and seeing people of different ethnicities, backgrounds sitting there across from me made me realize I can do this. There's no reason why I can't do this. Why am I having this issue with saying I want to be a firefighter? And I never looked back. This was my first interview, Hayward was, and somehow I got the job. I had no prior experience. I just knew how to work hard, and definitely had moments where I was like, shit, like I don't know if I can do this, but they always reassured me, like work hard, and I had that in me. So yeah, they took the chance on me, and here I am today. And it's definitely instilled a degree of like gratitude, but debt. Like I feel like I have to constantly give back to this place and make sure that the future, like these two are awesome people and reflect what we stand for.
If you could see the level of proud coming off of your chief right now, oh my goodness. Again, looking like just another great choice. So this is awesome. Do you have any advice for folks watching that also may be the first person in their family to pursue this career?
Yeah, do right by you. It's definitely not an easy path, but as long as you don't give up, it's super rewarding. And if there's something in you that has an itch to do this, come to a station visit. These are some of the most amazing people. They will give you your time and ask nothing in return, nothing in return. And that was like flooring to me. It's like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Is there something you want? And no, they just want you to be a part of it and continue to build on what we have. And that's an awesome career with great reputations, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to your mentor who continued to water you along the way.
Yeah.
And just, man, big ups to him.
Yeah, I love him. He's an amazing person, and yeah, I owe him everything.
Okay. And so, Chief, we're coming to you, and so we'd love to talk about the steps you took getting into the fire service.
Yeah, so coming out of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up moving up to the Grass Valley area, new area, and my brother encouraged me to become a volunteer firefighter, which I did, and that just kind of led into a seasonal position. And then like 2 weeks into the summer, you're like, I don't want to do anything else, which is great because in school I didn't really have a direction. The fire service honestly provided a ton of purpose. It made school start to click after that. You knew what you were trying to do, where you're trying to get to, what you did every single day matters so much for the community. That ended up, small district up in Nevada County. I ended up, they had a residency program where it gave me a free place to live while I was going to college, as long as I went to calls. And then after a couple seasons, that turned into a permanent job. And then, 5 years of trying to figure out exactly where you wanted to end up. And I stumbled across Hayward, had some strong recommendations. As soon as I did 1 or 2 station visits, you're like, that's the place I want to work. And I think that's a pretty common theme for a lot of people that work in our city. You just, and I think that's part of the process is figuring out the right fit for you, and we're looking for the right, candidate for us. And there's lots of options out there. It definitely was the best place for me.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And so Cheyenne, we're coming to you next, and so we'd love to know about your journey into the fire service.
Yeah, so I, as soon as I graduated high school, I immediately joined the Army. So I always had like a sense in me to help others and do like a greater good, something beyond myself. So I was in the Army for 5 years, and then towards the end of my career in the Army, I was thinking about what else could I do to give back, to help others. And firefighting really kind of stuck with me. So that was my plan. And I was getting out of the Army in 2021. I became pregnant with my son, which kind of put like a brick wall on my plans. I am a single mom, and I knew I was going to be raising my son by myself, and I just didn't know if the career of a firefighter was going to be attainable for me. But I know with myself, I have a lot of determination, and I knew if I looked back and I chose another career, I wasn't going to be happy. I would live with a lot of regret, and I didn't want that. So when my son was 7 weeks old, I enrolled in school as a full-time student, and I got my associate's degree in fire technology. I didn't know where to start exactly, so that just kind of felt like the safest bet. And then from there, I got my EMT, and then I was eager to get hired. Essentially, at first, being a single mom, I just wanted to get hired. I wanted to work anywhere. But then I started doing station visits, and I did a station visit with Hayward, and I mean, they really stuck out to me. Something about the place, just their work ethic and their determination and their just hard-working mindset, it's really what I'm all about. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be anywhere else but here. So I kind of put all my eggs in one basket, and I was really banking on Hayward, and I'm so grateful, and my life is forever changed, and I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. I feel like we all can feel the passion and everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for other moms who want to pursue this career? Maybe they have small children or they're looking to start a family and they really just don't see the brick wall you're talking about. They can't see over that or through it. Any advice for them?
Yeah, you know, I used to think being a single mom was kind of a weakness. It's the strongest thing in the world. And if you look at your son or your daughter and you want to give them the best life they can, you know, they deserve, nothing's impossible. You know what I mean? Nothing's impossible, you know. If you look at your little ones and you want the best for them, just have that in the back of your mind and just staying consistent and staying determined, and you'll get anywhere you want to be.
I feel like each of you have superpowers, and so we're tapping in just a little bit. We get to hear slices of it, but just for folks watching, we definitely want you to know we have an episode right on this channel talking about moms who fight fire. Totally wishing that we had met Cheyenne before we filmed that episode, but you'll meet some fabulous panelists with some really, really interesting stories on how they're navigating or have navigated being a mom as a firefighter, also speaking to her specific journey being a veteran and making that transition into the fire service. So make sure you check out both of those as well. So thank you for sharing and giving us a chance to plug both those videos. Thank you. All right, so we do want to remind everyone watching, go ahead and submit your questions in the chat. We are taking live questions. You have the experts here themselves, and we want to give them a chance to answer your questions. So with that, we are coming back to you, Chief, and so we'd love for you to give us an introduction to the department, the size, like how big it is, what kinds of specialties and programs you have.
Yeah, so Hayward Fire Department, we're in San Francisco Bay Area, East Bay specifically, halfway between Oakland and San Jose, right in the middle there. I think we're a perfect sized department, at least.
Do you mind if I interrupt really quickly? So Hayward is part of the Bay. For those that participate in a debate, is Hayward part of the Hayward's part of the Bay?
We're part of the Bay. We're right at the end of the San Mateo Bridge, so waterfront, East Bay.
Okay, we heard it's the
heart of the Bay.
Heart of the Bay.
Sorry, heart of the Bay.
There we go. Shout out Hayward. Back to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's for me, it was kind of what I was looking for. We're around 150 people, which is small enough that you kind of know everybody and you have relationships with everybody. And you were kind of calling me earlier how proud I am. Like Chris Castillo was my academy mate, and like there's these strong relationships in our department. But it's also big enough that we have a lot of opportunity. You know, for me, coming into the fire service, I wanted to do it all the time, just run all the calls and do all the stuff. And we have those opportunities. We have wildland urban interface. The Hayward Fault runs right through the center of our city, and there's technical rescue team. We have the USAR team actually supports the FEMA's USAR team out of Oakland. We have a water rescue because we're right on the bay program, and just our wildland urban interface program is just escalated to where if you're into those things, you can do as much or as little as you want. And there's just so much opportunity for growth.
Awesome. And a brand new training facility also, right?
Yeah, brand new training facility. It's one of the best things to see other people come in and see it from other departments, and their eyes are like, what you guys have is amazing, and it truly is. We have 9 stations, 2 trucks, 10 engine companies. We have a medium rescue on the way, a squad, and 2 battalions. It's a great place to work.
So it sounds like. Cool beans. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And so, Quentin, we're coming back to you. We'd love for you to describe the culture at Hayward. So we've heard about the makeup. If you could tell us about the culture.
Yeah, I'd say the culture is just, we want to work hard. We want to be there for each other. We want to just, work together as like a team and have fun while doing all that. But we're very heavily focused on training, staying professional, and at the end of the day, like we're here for our citizens, and I think that's a big part of our culture. We take pride in, being able to protect the city we serve, So that's the overall culture, station culture, you know. Everyone wants to clean, everyone wants to work hard. You're barely ever sitting down, you know, at the station. There's always something to do or something to learn. So we, you know, we're just constantly busy and just having fun with it while all that's going on. And yeah, it's.
If I can add to that too, especially someone in our shoes being on probation, we're held to a very high standard. And that's because, as he mentioned, we're there for the residents of Hayward. And so we want to be in that high standard because when they call 911, we want to be able to give them the best that they deserve, if that makes sense. So we're held to a super high standard, but it only makes us a better firefighter at the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. and totally appreciate you for sharing that. It sounds like you guys just go really, really hard for the community, you know, huge advocates of people that live in Hayward. So Samir, we're coming back to you, and so we know that Hayward is a very intentional fire department when it comes to language, especially surrounding, you know, community members. Can you speak to why it's so important that the department is mindful of its language? And I'll just give you an example. I know that you all prefer the term resident over citizen, and this is something we had even chatted about, so feel free to add on.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff we do, it's funny because it just lines up with being a really good person. So as a really good person and a Hayward firefighter, you want to be sensitive to what people want, you know, like there's a respect factor to that. And if you make it known that, hey, I want to be called a resident versus a citizen, we want to make sure we respect that and treat you with the utmost respect, because at the end of the day, we are here for you, not for ourselves. And I know coming in with my background, Middle Eastern and Muslim, like I've seen it countless times on calls where, you know, the family's like a little reluctant to let you in, and you know, you step in and you're like, oh, this is what they want. They just want you to remove your shoes, ask before you do something, let them know what's going on, and no one's ever had friction with it. It's always like, yeah, we're here for them, whatever makes them comfortable, and at the end of the day, it's their emergency, so we want to make sure that they see that we're here for them, and it's been echoed throughout my short 7-year career, and I've seen it from Chief Hamry all the way down to these two, and I love that about it. It's like, we're here for you, and we want to make sure we respect everything you do. And again, it just aligns with being a good person. It's like, not necessarily being a good firefighter, but just being a really good quality person.
So you all are responding to calls, you get to a home where the shoes are outside, and you all are taking off your boots to enter respectfully, and that's what you're, beautiful.
Yeah, leave it better than when you came, and that's echoed every day.
And so also, just when it comes to even language that you use within hiring posts or different things like that, you know, legally being able to work in the U.S. versus a citizen, for someone who maybe isn't a citizen and fears maybe they couldn't become a firefighter, they think they have to be a citizen to do that, that language must really stand out and feel inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, when I got hired, there was, the academy before us had, I think it was this pretty small academy, and it was like 4 or 6 people, and 2 of them were from outside of the United States. And 1 has since gone on to get a citizenship. And but it's just, you know, our community is very diverse, like 42% are foreign born. And, you know, to just pigeonhole the citizen, it leaves a lot of people out. And we're very inclusive to everyone that is in Hayward.
Shout out to Hayward. Shout out to Hayward. So we understand that you speak Farsi.
Yeah, yes. It's funny because like growing up, I had to come home and the only language you were allowed to speak in our house was Farsi. Like if you spoke any other language, you were in trouble. And I always thought it was a punishment, and now realizing it kind of helps.
Helps keep you fluent and just, yeah, absolutely. So we would love to have you, if you don't mind, you totally don't have to do this, but if you don't mind, we would love for you to speak in Farsi to any family members, any parents, guardians, whoever it may be, that have children, they have people within their community that really want to consider a career in the fire service, but there's apprehension about it. Maybe it's just not something that's accepted within the culture. And so if there's any words of wisdom, you'd love to look into the camera and share with them directly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. And this was for like younger me and my parents, like someone who's in my situation. اعتراض نمیکار بسیار خوبه. یادمه که من کدشکان کار میکنم بسیار خوب آدم است. نه ترس که اشتکت اوگار میشه یا چیز خراب میشه، طور نیست. یک چیز است که خوش میباشه هر روز کار خوبش میکنه yeah, and that's just me letting the parents know, because I feel like I wish I could tell my parents growing up, like, it's going to be fine. Like, this is a career you can be proud of. The people here are family. Like, we know each other's kids, we know each other's, parents, we know their backgrounds, and it's a good career, and you can be proud of it.
Thank you.
You inspired me.
I heard that. That's really beautiful. So Cheyenne, we actually have a question for you. We want to know how can candidates get in touch with the department?
Yeah, so we always welcome station visits. Highly recommended. And it's simple as just giving one of the 9 stations a call. Any of them, give them a call. Kind of just give them a heads up that you're wanting to make a station visit. Think of a station visit kind of like a pre-interview, so dress appropriately, bring something for them. We're giving our time to you. We don't expect anything back, but we want to help them be successful in their careers, and any little bit we can give them is always helpful. If you do a station visit with Hayward, it's always good to kind of do your own little research and just see what the department's about a little bit. That way you're not coming empty-minded or stuff like that. But yeah, just give us a call at any of the stations, and we're always happy to welcome guests into the house.
Okay, so no forms to fill out, no lengthy.
Nope, just give us a call, and that's it. Simple as that.
Cool beans. And so also, I believe you had, you talked about how station visits can help with interested candidates, like when they're ready to apply. How does that help in the process?
As we talked about earlier, every department has a different culture, their own personality in a sense. So when you're trying to get hired as a firefighter, it's really important that you find your fit. You don't want to work for somewhere you're not going to be happy, or you don't necessarily fit in. So doing that station visit, wherever it may be, you're going to get a little taste of whatever that department is, their personalities, how they operate, how they act, and just making sure it's a good fit for you. I think that's extremely important, because you don't want to be blindsided going into kind of just the unknown. So having done station visits is helpful to make sure that this is where you want to be.
Before we jump into interviews specifically, I know you had mentioned you had worked with some folks that when it was time for your interview, these are people that you knew from doing station visits. And
when I did my station visit with Hayward, I was in contact with Captain Dimmick, and he invited me to the station. I did a station visit. He kind of really was a huge help in my process of getting hired with Hayward. And when I sat on the panel for my interview, he was one of the panelists, and it was very comforting to me in a way. He saw something great in me, and I knew if he believes that I'm great, then why shouldn't everybody else? So to me, it was very comforting. I knew he saw something good in me, and I figured, everyone else can too, So to me, it was really comforting to have a familiar face on the panel.
Absolutely, but sometimes maybe you're doing the mail run, and maybe it could be a little more share your
Sometimes
experience.
the story's a little different, But no, I was doing the mail route. I was always like showing my face, and people just genuinely want to know who you are, and I would tell them. And so then I did a couple station visits also where those people were on my panel, and at first I felt very awkward trying to reinstate who I was, because they kind of already knew.
Do you mind if I run this back just very briefly? So you're doing the mail route for Hayward?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was doing the mail route for Hayward, you do rounds at all the stations, see what they need, bottles, just dropping off mail and whatnot. So I got to know everybody there. And so then when it came to my interview, I really had to overcome that and still be natural, not be, too robotic, or, just saying just robotic in general. So, being able to overcome that, and really that's again, with the fire service, being able to overcome adversity, I think is a huge part of becoming a firefighter. And yeah, I mean, you put your mind to it and you could do it. So.
And probably important too that I could see how that could have been awkward, but how you probably laid out a really strong work ethic. And so just being able to speak to that in the interview was good.
Yeah, I hope so, right?
Good stuff. We're going to go ahead and check for questions. We know people are watching. They're commenting in the chat. We want them to be able to ask their questions. So let's go to you, Amanda.
Absolutely. The chat is blowing up. We have tons of questions. We will start with Dominic. He currently turned in from Idaho. He's working as a wildland firefighter. He would love to know and hear more about the culture of the Hayward Fire Department. I know we've heard so much, but is there anything anyone else would like to share in addition?
Yeah, I'll start and then they can add to it. Our community is blue collar. It's reflected in the geography of the city. There's tons of industry. So a lot of the people there are really hardworking 9-to-5 people. And I feel like it's well reflected with us. I mean, we keep echoing the word hardworking, resilient, but that's who we are. And it doesn't always look pretty, but we're gonna work as hard as we can. And if you're that type of person, that's huge to us. It's not necessarily like, oh, you were a past firefighter or you have any experience in that realm. It's more so the good qualities of being a good human being, like hardworking, respectful, and again, it's reflected in everyone we have.
I'd say for Dominic, we have a lot of employees that came from the wildland background. Myself, Cal Fire, a bunch from the Forest Service, hot shot, smoke jumpers. That same work ethic you see out on the fire line, the 24-hour, 48 hours, digging in the dirt all day, sleeping next to a tree, like that culture fits right in with us. We're like, right away, if you can work hard, it was very easy for me to transition from like Cal Fire to the Hayward Fire work ethic.
That's good. That's good. Back to you, Amanda.
Awesome. Another great question. This is online, so if you're joining us, and these were questions that were given to us yesterday through Instagram. Trinidadder, what sets Hayward apart from the neighboring departments?
Let me see, Cheyenne.
I don't know. You know, it's easy to answer, but it's hard to put it in words. I like to work hard. I like to physically, mentally, emotionally be challenged. I like that aspect. A lot of people might not, but to me, I want to be challenged in all aspects of my life, and I felt that with Hayward. You know, no department is easy. Getting hired is not easy. Going through all the physical stuff, it's not easy, but Hayward's definitely not easy, you know what I mean? Mentally, physically, emotionally, there's so much knowledge, there's so much hard work that we do, you know. I mean, to me, I feel like the sense is very more rewarding because it's like, so the standards are so high, there's nowhere to hide, you know what I mean? Everyone is held to a certain standard, there's nowhere to hide, you know what I mean? So if you don't have that hard work within inside of you, I don't know. I just feel like Hayward is different in a sense that we hold everybody to the same standard, and there's no breaking that for anybody.
Yeah, and then I'll just add something real quick to that. Like, you know, that's a question that you can, you know, come answer for yourself. You know, do your station visits at all other departments, and then, you know, come do a station visit at Hayward, and, you know, you'll be able to answer that. You know, I was able to answer it myself, you know, because you don't want to just learn one department, you know, because you want to know where you fit in. You know, put yourself out there, meet a bunch of people, and I think you'd be able to answer that a lot better for yourself just coming in.
Yeah. It's like it's definitely a subtle vibe what we have here. And I know something for me, seeing like chiefs fighting to take hose from you and chiefs fighting to do work from you, you know, like that's huge. It's like, hey, somebody who's this many years senior than me is still willing to work right beside me. I had captains on probation who were doing the work with me, and it's like huge when someone can do that, because it's one thing to tell me, hey, go do this. It's another thing if you're right beside me doing it. And I saw that throughout my probation. Every single captain, firefighter, driver was fighting to work with me and fighting to do the harder job. So it's like, okay, cool. Like if this is the type of place this is and they're able to retain it across 20, 25, 30 years, I want that. I want to be stoked about where I'm coming to work. I don't want to have to like come here and be like bummed about working hard, because it's just not that. Like it's so fun and such a rewarding career. So why not be happy about it and not feel guilty about it? And it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe.
Sounds good. I mean, it just, you can feel it. You can feel it. Back to you, Amanda. Let's take a couple more questions.
Yes, so we have a couple questions. Going back to our YouTube chat, this flows perfectly with the station visit. Nathan Aguilar, what does a typical station visit look like, and how can I make the most of that experience?
Quentin, you've just been through that process?
Yeah. What does a typical station visit look like? You know, you're gonna show up and looking good, preferably suit and tie, groomed, ready to have questions. Show that you've put effort to learn our department, and you'll get questioned as why you want to become a Hayward firefighter. That's very big to us. And then from there, I would definitely say, make sure you have a extra pair of workout clothes, because you never know, you might be working out with the guys. At me personally, I always brought an extra pair of EMT pants, boots, and a white T-shirt, just in case it turns into a ride along. You never know. If you're at a busy station and they're constantly running calls, we could get to know you, maybe on the way to a call or more so after the call. But those are the main things for Hayward specifically. If you really, want to make the crew happy, get the World Fair donuts. It's a big tradition for our department.
Can you say that name one more time, just so they...
World Fair donuts. Yeah.
Stop if you're driving through.
And there's definitely going to be things I'm sure that I'm missing as far as what you could expect.
If I can add too.
Yeah.
It's always good to have some resumes on you too. I know a lot of the crews like to look at the resumes.
Nice paper.
And then kind of like I was saying earlier, it's kind of almost like a pre-interview, but you want to feel more comfortable. Have them get a sense of your personality too. You know what I mean? You want to get a sense of their personality, but they should get a sense of your personality too. And then if you do make it to an interview, they kind of already have an idea of who you are. So be yourself professionally, obviously, but it's a good chance to kind of show your pride and your dedication as well.
Cool beans, cool beans. Let's go ahead and take one final question in this section.
I have a great question, especially to piggyback off Cheyenne. From O. Daniel, what can a new candidate do to stand out on the resume and in the application process?
That's a good question.
I think having, this is probably better for you guys to answer, but I know when I was trying to get hired, it could be very competitive sometimes, and I knew if my resume looks better and I have more qualifications, the more chances I would get selected. So going through a college fire academy is super helpful. Having that on your resume, a Firefighter 1 or Firefighter 2, although Hayward does not require that, it kind of sets you apart a little bit. Having some college with fire technology, having some wildland hand crew experience is huge. Military, obviously, that's huge as well. But yeah, if you guys want to add on to that.
Yeah, from me, my resume wasn't really stand out. My work experience was like Carl's Jr., I was a valet, and it was nothing that was related to the fire service, but if that's you, put it on the paper and be prepared to explain why, because I didn't realize, but like being a valet, you do customer service, you drive cars. I'm now a driver, so being comfortable with driving cars kind of fast is good. Not that I did that as a valet, but even like the Carl's Jr. thing or working in a restaurant, like cooking is a huge thing for us. So you don't realize it, but like cooking will make you a better candidate. Like if you can provide and add to family time, which is our cooking time, that's huge. So don't be afraid to like not have fire service experience. It's great, it's awesome, it's gonna make you stand out. But when it comes down to it, when you sit across that table, the worst thing you could do in my eyes is not tell us who you are as a person. And And that's, I think, goes a lot further than like, oh, I checked all these boxes, but then who are you? Like, so, yeah.
And it sounds like within each of those, there's transferable skills and just knowing how to frame that.
Yeah.
To make it relate.
And it's okay to not, I mean, I think our instructors are phenomenal. Our drill grounds we were talking about are phenomenal. Like, we can teach you how to search and force a door and stretch hose and vertical ventilation. So like if you don't have those skills, not the end of the world. If you have other transferable skills and you're a good person, you can convey that. You know, maybe your resume is a little short when you start in the process, but you're like, hey, you know, if I don't get hired, this is what I'm going to do. And you have a plan for how you're going to get there, even if you haven't accomplished it all yet. And you know, be able to tell your story. Like, we all came from different backgrounds, and I think it's really fun to get around our department and see who did what, and we're all different. None of us were like, oh, we all had the perfect resume where we're taking all the right classes and went all the right things, and you know, it always, you know, it works out.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Well, and then I guess to like add on to like how you know, shaped your experiences, like I was a carpet cleaner for 6 months, and I thought it was like pretty unique to be able to incorporate how like when you carpet clean, you have to be able to measure the hose, you know, your carpet cleaning hose from the front door to the furthest bedroom. And like, so I'm all in all, I'm just saying like you could take any type of experience that you go through and, you know, with gaining your knowledge in the fire service, like being able to connect the two, I think is a good way, I think at least in your interview, to separate yourself. And then for your resume, I think it's good that when you bring it in, like be prepared for them to help, you know, make suggestions on how you can actually separate your resume. So that's another thing that's good to be prepared for when you come into a station visit is, you know, we'll help you try to separate yourself through your resume.
Yeah, and it's like churning stuff like that, and like I saw it as a weakness, but it's honestly for me now, it's like it shows hustle. It's like you're willing to do all these jobs and provide for your family, which is what I was trying to do. I was like, I just need to provide for my family. Money isn't easy to come by, and I have to do what I have to do, and it just shows humility and hustle. Like if I see a big gap in your resume and you didn't do anything in between those times, you're just chilling at the house, that's different. But you see all these jobs, you're like, okay, this person had 4 jobs at one point. They're hustling. So that's way more, it goes way further than anything.
Do you mind if I ask you about the sound of the gas click?
Oh, so this is weird, but I have like a ton of moments and weird things, quirks that will like floor me a little, like make me more humble. And one of the things growing up was like, you decided between how much money you had in your account, and hey, some of it's gonna go in gas. I can't fill up my tank. Some of it's gonna go in food. So that sound of the gas clicking and it being full was like a foreign sound. But now every time at the gas station, when I hear that click, I'm like, oh, I'm doing good. Like I'm fine. I'm fine. All these problems I had, they're not real problems. I'm in a good place now. So you know, when I got the call from this place from our former Chief Contreras, I had negative $56 in my account. So I was stoked. I was like, I get to do something really cool and get paid to do it. Like, it felt like surreal. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely flooring and you'll get those. Like I get those all the time. So.
Hearing you share that was so beautiful and so personal. And whether you were cleaning carpet, valet, or just waiting to hear that sound, that click of the gas pump, or just whatever it is, really just speaks to what this career is able to put into your life and what you're able to provide for your next generations. You know, so the smile is coming from within. Can you guys feel it?
I can feel it. I feel it.
OMG! All right, we're going to talk about hiring requirements. We know that people are falling in love with each of your stories, falling in love with the department, and so we want them to know what it takes to get hired. So we're going to start off with Amanda, and so because you all use FCTC's written test for hiring, since we have Amanda Carlton here, who is the testing specialist, Amanda, if you could go ahead and share about the FCTC written test, additional FCTC testing opportunities, and then specifically how to get on the statewide eligibility list.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lasana. For the FCTC, in order to get on our statewide eligibility list, simply go to fctconline.org. You have to have the minimum requirements. That's a valid CPAT card, that is a written test, as well as a valid driver's license. You also have to have a high school equivalent to a GET or diploma. Additional items you want to throw on there just in case is if you have your EMT, you'll put that on there as well. Any other Firefighter 1 academies or paramedic, you put that on there. Once all those documents are received, you will be on our statewide eligibility list. We also have additional resources at FCTC Online. We don't leave you hanging. You can go to our website where we will have you sign up for the CPAT, and with that CPAT, your physical agility test, you get one free orientation. Orientation, you definitely want to take advantage of that. We get to go through every single station of the CPAT, and you get to learn tips and tricks with the proctors. For $25 more, you can take a practice test and see how you fare before your actual test day. They can also run you through that. You can get hands-on with all of the equipment as well. And then we have our written test. When it comes to written testing, you do have to have a 70% or higher, but don't worry, we've got a study guide online for you. And we have a prep course also available. Prep courses are either in person and now available online, self-paced, 6 months online, if you're someone who likes to do that work online. But if you can, go ahead and go to our testing site, look for those dates around the testing areas that are in your area, and you can also go online and keep checking. If there is not an available test date for you, keep coming back. We ensure that we have ample testing for all department needs, and there are cancellations quite frequently. So please just stay up to date on all that information.
Too that cover the cost of all the FCTC testing and all of that, right?
Absolutely. Apply for those grants. The worst we could tell you is no.
There we go. All right. So we've heard what it takes to get on FCTC's statewide eligibility list. We'd love for you, Quentin, to kick it off and let us know specifically what's Hayward looking for.
Yep. So all those requirements is what we're looking for, and then additionally, depending on department need, we'll either be looking for EMT or medic. If you are applying as EMT, I would say prepare to go to medic school. And then from there, we require a BIDL test, which, you know, the minimum passing is 11 minutes. But obviously with anything you do, you want to shoot for the best you could do. You know, don't just try to meet the minimums, you know, shoot for the stars when you're doing everything. And there's videos on that physical ability, agility test, on YouTube. You just type in BIDL test. It'll give you a good idea on what's required of you there. And then you will go through your oral interview. You'll have 3 firefighters on there. And if all goes well with that one, then you'll have your chief's interview. We have 4 chiefs. You know, it's obviously going to be nerve-wracking, but I think that's part of the job. You know, you go into a lot of nervous situations, so just prepare for that. Get mentally prepared for those interviews. All those go well, then you will have an aerial climb where you just making sure that you're not afraid of heights. So you'll do that. And then you'll get your offer letter, which is that life-changing letter that everyone waits for. And from there, you'll get your your start date for your academy. And then it's time to roll, you know, like keeping your foot on the gas while you're in that time period of starting your academy is important. And then just continue going from there. I'd say, I don't know if I missed anything, but yeah, that's all of our requirements.
So with your EMT, and this is something we had chatted about earlier, but when applying, you have to have your EMT card in hand when you're applying. How about your paramedic license?
No, so you have to eventually have your paramedic license. So in their process, their EMTs, they'll be sent to medic school, but for the paramedic process, depending on department needs, all you have to have is your paramedic license in hand by the time you're online and on probation. As for them, because they're going the EMT route and because we do want to have all paramedics, they'll be sent to paramedic school funded by the department, as well as their off days covered, any overtime covered. So, yeah.
And you got your paramedic card right before.
Yeah, I was sweating it. Yeah, it got to the point where you're going to have a job if you pass your national registry. Luckily, got it, but time frame was tight. I got my card on a Friday, started my academy on a Monday. So
shout out to the
it's
mail.
A big weekend.
I know, right? And so you squeezed something in there. You said they're going to go to paramedic school. Can you talk about who's covering the cost of that?
So our department is, they'll be starting in January of 26. They'll be the first ones to go through it. Yeah. But again, an ode to the person over the qualifications. We wanted to get good people, and if we can bridge that cost gap for them or the timing gap, like, oh, I have a ton of kids and I can't go to paramedic school right now, it's not feasible, we are able to bridge that for them and give them the money to be able to do it.
That is huge and such a phenomenal opportunity. Brilliant. Absolutely. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add on to that specifically? Requirements or, okay. All right.
Never giving up, I guess, is a requirement.
That part. That part. Oh my goodness. All right. And so just when it comes to, interviews, let's go ahead and talk about that. And so we'd love to come to you, Chief, and talk about any advice you have for candidates preparing for interviews and what they can do to make themselves stand out.
Yeah, I think a big thing, I think it's like some soul searching, asking yourself the questions. And when you do the station visits, when we were talking about earlier, how important that is. I think if you're doing them and you're asking those questions, you're having those experiences, you should have a pretty good answer for why you want to be a firefighter. That should be solid. But specifically, why you want to be a firefighter in Hayward. And once you start doing those visits, and for all of us, you go through that and you're like, this is where I want to be. That comes across at the interview table, clear as day. It's not like you're just going through the motions. So putting in that time and those visits, you get to start answering those questions at the station, and you get much better. So you're much better prepared on that day. It puts you at ease. Really evaluating where you want to be and why you want to do it sets you up to have a very organic conversation and a genuine interview versus a robotic interview.
How about the person who it's so hard for them to talk about themselves? They hate interviews. Can you talk about that? And can you also talk about interviews from a chief's perspective?
Yeah, I think for someone that hates interviews, you're probably, potentially a really good fit for us. I don't know that many people in our culture, like if you walk around in your normal day and you talk about your great achievements for 30, 45 minutes, that's not our norm. I think we're fairly humble and just actions versus words type mentality. So I think we've all been there. I think we talked about the other day, like none of us enjoyed the interview process. Yeah. But you have to, just like the calls we go on, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And you got to do the work to put yourself in the best position. It took me a lot of interviews to get really good at interviewing, a lot of practice, and you invest that time in it and you'll get over that. But if you're uncomfortable, you're join the group.
So lots of intangibles you all are looking for and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd say, for us, as from a chief, the second part of your question, sitting on the other side of the table, in 45 minutes, you're trying to get to know somebody. And like I said before, we can teach you the skills. Like we're really good at teaching the skills and having that standard there. The hardest thing is sorting for the question of character or what are you about or who are you? So in that interview process, are you able to convey that? Or did you over-rehearse so much and tell me what you think I want to hear? You say all the right things, and at the end, I spent 45 minutes, I've never met this person, I don't know who they are. Whereas, you spend 10 minutes with these people, and you're like, these are people I want to work with.
Yeah. I ate with these people, and I had a thoroughly good time, so I totally agree. Cheyenne, we'd love to talk to you about advice you have for candidates who may feel discouraged during the application or the hiring process.
Yeah, it could be a long journey sometimes. And I think something that was said to me is you may receive 10 no's before you finally get your yes. And I'm a big believer on everything happens for a reason and you end up where you're supposed to end up. If you really wanted this one department and it didn't work out, that's okay. That's okay. Take every interview, take every opportunity, and don't let it discourage you when you hear those no's. Use it as motivation. Reflect with yourself, let it build you up slowly at a time. And if you really want to do this career, you can. You know what I mean? It might take a while, but if you're really determined and have that sense in you, it's going to happen. Just let it happen. It will come. It will come.
And not everyone gets first interview out. Just brag.
Yeah, but my interview wasn't great, so I'm glad it worked out.
Were you surprised when you got the call?
Oh yeah. I had the first set of interviews were with 3 firefighters who work there, and you rehearse this thing over and over and over. You're like, I got this, I got it. One of the questions they asked me, and I don't know if they knew to ask me this question, they were like, so you don't have any experience, how are you gonna make it? And I had like rehearsed everything but that, and instead of like a good answer, I don't recommend anyone do this, but I got kind of like defensive and mad. I was like, well, like I got this. Like I'll whatever you need me to do, I can figure out a way. Like tell me how to do it once, and I will give you 100% every single time and figure it out. But
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out, but in the moment, I was dropping a couple, bad words, and I was like, this is not gonna work out. But it worked. Luckily, it worked out. And again, it's like you want somebody who, like I was told, like failure and quitting are 2 different things. Like we'll let you fail 1,000,000 times, but don't quit. Don't quit. And that's what I held in me. I was like, I'm not gonna quit. I will fail 100 million times, and you guys will laugh at me for it, but I'm not gonna quit.
Bad words and all, it sounds like you showed up authentically.
Yeah.
And I mean, with me just going through the process, some advice that was given to me that super helped, shout out to Captain Francis again, was recording yourself. You find out how boring you sound, or at least I found out how boring I sounded. Practicing in the mirror, just the big questions, being able to talk about yourself. And I even took it a step further with his recommendation. Like dress up like you're going to your interview.
In your recording?
Oh, I would, at the front door of my house, I'd have some family members inside, treat it like an interview, because I mean, yes, you don't want to be robotic, but you also do want to have some preparation on what you can expect, And so, start from the jump, like open the door. How are you going to walk in? Are you going to walk in here, or you're going to walk in with some confidence in yourself and, practicing, shaking people's hands, looking at them in the eye, introducing yourself. There's all those little things, I think, in the interview that are pretty big. As far as being able to talk about yourself, that part definitely needs to be, just authentic. But, it's still you still got to practice, I would say. So those are some tips I could try to get out there.
There's mentors out there, and like you're talking about Francis, and we were talking about like Daxton last night. There's people out there all around our county and other departments, that are willing to help you out. And we all had mentors. Like all of us had someone help us. And so when we get the station visits, all of us can see ourselves in the person that's sitting across. And we've been in that position where it's hard to interview when you're struggling. And like we want you to be successful. Like we want people in the interview to be successful.
Yeah, and they ask nothing in return. Like Daxton and Mills and numerous people at Berkeley Fire, they, through the International Association of Black Firefighters, let me hang out and do interview practice with them, and just grilled me and were like, no, this sounds horrible, this sounds good, there was no fee, there's no bring anything. It's just, we want to make you better so you continue to make this job better. And Daxton, again, he helped me out a ton. Raven Record, all those dudes at Berkeley Fire helped me out a ton. So there's tons of resources. You just need to ask.
And so shout out to the International Black Professional Firefighters.
Yes, it is.
Excellent resources.
And congrats to you. And your awards.
OMG, Chief is my belief. Wow, what an honor.
Come on, we gotta shout you out.
Shout out Alameda County. Shout out Chief West. That was, I have to explain what it is. Okay, so very briefly, Alameda County does this, hosts this event every year where they talk about the history of the fire service and Black firefighters and their experience in the fire service and where that started. And you get examples to see where that has come to now. And so it's a beautiful rendition of where the history was and just things that people really, really experienced, and being able to highlight that and not hide it, but also really honoring those stories and then showcasing that you can dream, you can believe one day that you'll become a chief. And so they have these, sayings, chief is my belief, and they take the time to really honor people from the community. I happen to get honored as a person from the community, and OMG, this dude was there. What an honor. Our whole team was there, and I feel like they were happier than I was, and I was elated. So to work with a team, when you guys talk about that family aspect, when you talk about people being just as proud of you as you are of yourself, I felt that. So I can personally relate. So thank you so much for bringing that up. OMG, so good, so good. We love the candid over here. All right, so reminder, go ahead, put your questions in the chat. We have some really good announcements for you at the end, so make sure you stick around. And with that, we will come right back to you, Quentin. All right, so we're going to put you on the spot as a probationary firefighter. Can you talk with the audience about what a day in the life of a probationary firefighter is like? And feel free to add on.
All right, so from the start, you want to get there really early. Some people may beat you there still. Shout out to Moot Heart. But so you want to show up early. For me, I get my stuff on the rig first. My mindset is if I can catch a fire as soon as I step in the door, that's the first thing I want to do. So get your stuff on the rig. You go upstairs, make sure the coffee's running, dishes are clean. Get your Class Bs on. And then honestly, from there, it's time to start your day. You're checking out your rig, making sure your hose is where you want them to be. Just getting your mindset right with preparation. And that's like more your morning. Afternoon, we're gonna have lunch. You're gonna race to the dishes. You're gonna make sure you're the first one there. Get the station cleaned, and then from there, you're going to training, typically. We have a training schedule. Either you train in the morning or in the afternoon, typically. So you go to training. You're going to work hard. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to make mistakes. You are going to have to overcome adversity. And from there, you're going to get done. You're going to drink a lot of water because you were sweating a lot. Come back to the station, get ready for dinner. And in between all this that I'm talking about, you're running calls, you're protecting our city, you are providing the utmost of service to our citizens while doing all this, Then you're gonna have dinner, and that is one of the most special times in the firehouse, just being able to, in my position and in your position as a probationary firefighter, just being able to soak in all the knowledge that is provided right in front of you as it goes. And it's awesome, it's fun. And then from there, you're racing to the dishes again. And then from there, you're just getting ready for bedtime, making sure, you try to be the last one. You don't want to be the first one to sleep, And so, and just like working hard all throughout the day, seeing where you could help. It's a constant thing, but I mean, it builds so much appreciation for what you're doing and who you're doing it for, meaning your department. For me specifically, just the appreciation I continue to grow for Hayward, putting my, elbows, so that's essentially what a day in the life of a probationary firefighter is. I'm sure there's all sorts of things.
I think the biggest thing is being on probation. I heard a captain tell me, throughout your whole career, act like you're always on probation. There's so much to learn. There's so many ways to grow. And being on probation, there's so much knowledge that we are expected to know. And so for me, we're doing all those things, but we're also studying, we're learning, there's so, when you think you know everything, you barely scratch the surface, you know what I mean? So, but kind of use that mentality throughout your entire career too, just to make you a better firefighter at the end of the day.
That's good life advice.
Absolutely,
Not only for
absolutely.
the fire service. Last night you had over the meal, you had chatted about learning styles and learning how you learn, and that being so important as a probationary firefighter. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to take it back a little bit. When I was in the military, it was the same thing. You were just getting screamed at and yelled at, and some people that works for me, it does not. I shut down. I'm not retaining anything you're telling me. So you kind of notice with every individual, they're unique in their own ways, including their learning styles. So for me, I'm a visual learner. I like to go on the drill grounds. I want to see them do it. I want to visually see what's going on, and that'll help me become a better firefighter. So when working at this department and working with different captains and such, everybody has their own different teaching styles as well. And it's super beneficial because, like everyone's been saying, we all want to be successful. They want us to be successful. So if you and your captain can kind of work together on the best training plan that works for you while getting the job done, obviously, there's a higher % chance that you're going to retain that information and just perform the best.
So as a probationary firefighter, for a lot of people, I imagine, this is probably your first time living at work. And so can you talk about some of the tenets of just being a good roommate?
Yeah.
And just how important it is, any advice, because you also live where you work.
Yeah, living where you work is such a huge thing. Like you said, you ultimately just want to be a good roommate, you know, clean up after yourself, make your bed, don't eat all the food in the fridge, you know. But with that being said, it also is such a huge part of our job too, because it builds crew cohesion. You know, if we all live together and we all get along and we're all laughing at the dinner table and things are good and people are being respectful, training goes better, calls go better. You know, if we get a fire, it's better. You know, we have that trust and we have that comfort with each other. It starts with being a good roommate, and then everything kind of just bleeds through that.
Absolutely, thank you. So with that, Samir, we know that Hayward has this new training center and incorporates training into every day on the job. What does that look like? And also, what can someone expect training-wise when they start out at Hayward?
Yeah, so as a department, we're very training forward. It's highlighted with probationary firefighters and new hires. They're the focus of our department and getting them up to standard. So day in and day out, there's a training schedule. You're put on the training schedule and they let you know what the training for the day will be. And you can expect anything from structure fires to medical training to physical training. And a big thing with us, and I can't speak to other departments, but again, captains and chiefs will be right there by you, making mistakes with you and training with you. So that's huge to me and makes me work that much harder. I just actually at dinner last night heard that, you know, a captain had that whole butterfly in their stomach feeling when they're going to training too. And I'm like, oh no, like it's not just me, because it always feels like it's just you. All the eyes are on me. Like, no, eyes are on everyone. Everyone wants to perform their best. And, you know, to hear a 20+ year person say that, you're like, oh, okay, so I don't have to have that whole, like, I'm here, I've done it, like, thing, you know? Like, you could make the mistakes and fall on your face, and let's do it together. And, yeah, it's echoed every day with them. And I'm super stoked that we have a ton of new hires, because it forces me to be good at what I do, because I don't want to be the person to, like, say, hey, do this, and not know how to do it. So they make us so much better day in and day out, because they'll ask you a question and they'll be like, I should know that, but I don't, and I'll find it for you. I'll research it, and I love that.
You mentioned something earlier. You said failure is different than giving up, or how did you frame that?
Yeah, so for me, in the academy, I had to, like, come to having no experience. I'm gonna fail a lot, but I read somewhere, I wish I knew where it was, but failure and quitting are two different things, and that's what we're looking for. Fail 100 million times, but don't quit, because there's a way to get through this. And that's with life, you know, like, you got to grind, you got to work, you got to make money. Things can get dark at times, but do not quit. Like quitting is not acceptable. And lean on us. Like if you're going through those times, and I get calls all the time from coworkers, from academy mates, from family members, and they're going through stuff. And you're like, hey, what do you need? What do you need? Because I don't want you to quit. That's my only goal throughout all this is nobody quit, everyone make it. And that's how I treat everyone. It's like, they are us. They don't have to prove to me that they're us. That was already proven because they're here. You have to prove to me that you're not, you know, like show me that you're not, and then it'll be a different story, but don't quit. And they don't, so yeah.
They look like they're in agreement. We're gonna pivot here. Chief, we're gonna come back to you. We'd love to talk about what is a union? What's the purpose of a union? And then if you could kind of round us out with, we know that Hayward prides itself on having a very strong labor management relationship. And so we'd love to talk about what does having a strong relationship between management and the union look like for firefighters on the job?
Yeah, I think kind of tying in, we were talking about so much about station visits. It was one of the first things that I heard very, very strong from the beginning. It was like, we have a strong labor management relationship. And it's almost like a mantra, like there's an appreciation for it and a recognition of how much better it is for the community, how much better it is for our brothers and sisters, how much better it is for the administration, like to have that cohesiveness and work together. You know, the tradition of, labor, is, wages, benefits, and working conditions. And our union, hands down, crushes it. Like they are so dedicated. They're out there all the time for the community, for the members, for the department, for the service. And I think, I think the working conditions for us extends beyond just like, safety or like your shift that you work. It's, for us, it's the quality of the service that we provide, and the expectation from labor is top notch, like hands down. And it makes, now that I've kind of transitioned into the administrative side of my career, so incredibly grateful to work in that environment. And like right now, like, everyone's economy, you're talking about looking, I'm dealing with things like budget, and you look at our city's budget and you're like, man, if 1909 didn't exist, what would our funding look like? And it's a pretty dark scenario because we went through like 2008, their housing crisis and then the financial fallout, and 1909 took the lead and was like, hey, we need to work on Measure A, which got funding into our city that we survive on today. And then a few years later, there was a conversation about the infrastructure in our city and how are we going to rebuild the library? How do we build the training center? How do we retrofit our old stations?
1909 helped with getting the training center?
They took point on the initiative. So they, so what, we have, goes back to that customer service. Our community really supports us. It was one of the craziest things to be in, 2009 when people have lost significantly out of their 401k. A lot of, it's a blue collar community. We're going door to door asking for them to increase their taxes. And our community's like, we got you. Like, and that doesn't, I get choked up thinking about it. Like it was weird to be in that position where you're talking to people like, man, they're literally they're going to work longer. They can't send their kids to college. And like, we're going to vote to raise your taxes. And that's from years of doing the right thing. That's from years of being there for them. So Measure A and then Measure C. And today, like, that's a big part of how we provide the service. Like, our community is like, we want the good service and we're willing to work with you. And that, the leadership was 1909 on all that. So it's pretty cool. So.
Shout out 1909. All right. With that, we would love to go ahead and take some questions. We know the chat is bursting again, so we're going to go back over to Amanda.
Yes, the chat is bursting, but we did get a lot answered just in talking. So we do have one from Optimist Daniel. Are there currently any volunteer opportunities with Hayward Fire Department?
No, there's none. I mean, Chief Hammer could speak to it more in depth, but we don't have a Hayward necessarily focused volunteer program. We do have the ROP, and we have had Thursdays where people can come in and kind of get hands-on tools and skills and talk to our firefighters, but nothing specific to like a Hayward volunteer fire program. But keep your ears open, so maybe that's something we see in the future. But
Can you elaborate on the Thursday program? What exactly is it?
yeah, so
want me to?
yeah, these two have been through it, so
Yeah, we participated. Hayward kind of put on this thing because they don't require their firefighter one. So some people are coming in with never touching a hose before, never touching turnouts before. So it was kind of an opportunity for people that are graduating high school or maybe in college, just that in the transition period, to come by on Thursdays and get an opportunity to touch a ladder, pull some hose, show some equipment. It's not currently happening right now. I know it's something that wants to come back. So if you are interested in that, I would suggest following the Instagram pages, and then we would post about it, or just giving the station a call, and hopefully it's something that we can put back in, because for me, and I know for you too, it was super helpful, super helpful.
It also really speaks to and affirms what each of you have said. You know, you don't have to have all of these specific things. We'll teach you what you need to know, so that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome for sure.
I would say it's changed a lot since when I got hired. Like, we didn't have the ROP program. We didn't share a training ground with Chabot College. You didn't have this access to high schoolers and junior college students. It's expanded a lot, which is, we're seeing a benefit from it significantly. I don't think we're done expanding on that. So, Thursdays will be around again, and there'll probably be more opportunities in the future that we can.
More to come? Is there more to come?
I would, if I had to guess, yeah.
And then I would just like to touch on that ROP program real quick, because I got to, be a part of it while I was on the mail route. It's for high school kids. If you're not 18 yet, yes, sorry, you can't apply yet. But, it's a great opportunity on getting started. And then with ROP, it's not even just about the fire service. Again, it's just about, being able to build great qualities within an individual. And I know talking to Chief Volmer, like one day they were doing the aerial climb, and like there was, a young girl who, she was shaky about it. She didn't want to do it. And then being able to see her start climbing that ladder, and like you see the confidence build. By the time you got to the top, she got to the top, she was like a totally different person, And so being able to start off early and see these kids like grow throughout their young life is pretty cool too. So if you are in the like Hayward, Bay Area, region, check out our ROP program. You're doing the skills that we do on the job, so that's definitely a big thing for the younger kids if you guys are watching for sure.
For some exposure. Yeah, thank you.
Shout out to Captain Peters.
There we go. All right, back to you, Amanda.
Yes, I've got another question in the YouTube chat from Alicia. Question for all panelists. What are some workout routines you did to physically prepare for this job?
I actually would love to answer
I don't know
this
why we all
question.
just
I actually would love to answer it.
Go.
So this might not be similar to everybody, but after I had my son, I was 200 pounds, and I knew I wanted to be a firefighter. And I did not only want to be a firefighter, I wanted to be the best firefighter. You know what I mean? I wanted to be the best. I didn't just want to pass. So for me personally, I took fitness became a really big in my routine. I don't miss a day in the gym. I ran a lot. I did the Stairmaster a lot. I would do an hour a day, literally on the Stairmaster. I would do rucks with gear on, just to get used to that weight. Lifting weights, being able to lift heavy things. It's a huge part of our job. Having that endurance, having that conditioning. There's so many things you can do. Just don't sit down all day. You know what I mean? Get outside, go walk around, take pride in wanting, at the end of the day, we have to save people's life. Are you strong enough to do that? Do you have the capacity to do that? If not, just get into the gym and lift some heavy weights and it'll be good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of like uncontrollables, but the controllables being like the work ethic, and in that work ethic is physical shape. So find a program that fits for you. It doesn't look the same for everyone. I was drawn to things that kind of like encompass suffering a little bit. So I love to like see what I could do and how far I could push myself when I was out of breath. And that's what this job is. You're out of breath. You're in a high stress situation. Can you function? Yeah. Can you perform? So whatever that looks for you, it could be Zumba, from Zumba to CrossFit, whatever it is, just be in good shape and take care of your health.
It's got to be so much easier if you hit in good shape.
Yes.
Like you're not suffering and trying to make cognitive decisions while you're trying to take a breath. Like you can control that, you know, whether it's jogging, running, biking, lifting weights, CrossFit. There's so many options out there, and across our department, there's a lot of people in little different niches, but like, man, it's a controllable. You can control that and make your life a whole lot easier. And honestly, like for the rest of your life, your quality of your life is so much better. Like, why not do that for yourself? Like, I know it's hard. Everyone's got a lot they're juggling, but a little bit of time every day, yeah, it's worth it.
Do right by you and the citizens. Like, I would be ashamed of myself if something happened to them and I couldn't physically do something to help them, right? So act in that way. Like, take pride in yourself every day. Like, you're doing right by the citizens too in that way. So if someone needs help, your physical fitness isn't a question. You're able to go in and do what you need to do, because it is a physical job. Like, there's no hiding from it. It's a physical job. Between the no sleep, the poor decisions in eating throughout the day because everyone's eating weird stuff, and the job itself, you got to be able to do that stuff. So.
And, you know, for us in our department, when you do station visits, you'll find like we have set time that's blocked off for everybody. So we have phenomenal gyms, and there's time where everybody's going to get like 2 hours to go work out. So our health and wellness program and what we're putting back into our people is off the charts right now. Like the cancer prevention, you know, doing blood work, biomarkers, mental health, physical health, the support system for the employee is awesome.
That's what I was going to say too, is all of that has to impact your mental health as well, positively. So beautiful that the department supports that and infuses that into your training.
Well, this is where I think go back to that partnership with the local, we're both moving in that same direction. And, you know, they've done like last week or last month, a bunch of us, you know, went across to Redwood City to get, you know, state-of-the-art cancer body scanning to try and catch cancer early to where it's still treatable. That doesn't happen without the local championing that, like, hands down. And then, yeah, it's pretty. I driving home that day, I'm like, that's so cool. I have that, like, for my family, and you know, my employer and my union feel and invest in me. Like that. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and our union president, Andrew Galley, will like get mad at you if you don't do this stuff. He's like, hey, I'm gonna call you day. His plate is beyond full, but we'll call you day in and day out. Go get the cancer screening, go get the blood test, go take care of yourself. And he does it too. You know, he's in good shape and works hard with us. And yeah, it's nice to see that. It's nice to see it be done versus be told. You know, I love that. So they all do it, so I got to do it too.
Yeah. Cool. I was going to say a little bit earlier, it doesn't fit so much now, but comment in the chat if you want the Cheyenne workout plan.
Yeah, let me know.
Put a comment in there for me.
I'm crazy though. I will make you throw up, and I will make you hate
That's
your
all
life.
right.
But it will make you a better person and a great firefighter. I promise
There we go.
you.
We'll pass the cancer screening. We'll pass everything.
Yes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Coming back to you, Amanda.
All right, last question here. This one is from Real Deal Drew. Kind of hits close to the heart. It's going to segment way nicely into the next one. So, how can I start from nothing?
That's a good one.
I mean, if you're at the bottom, the only way to go is up, right? So something small. I don't know. There's only so many positive ways to go.
Well, I got some with that. I mean, you are in here already asking the question, you know, so you already are not starting from nothing. You know what I'm saying? You already starting to build your foundation, and so just run with it. Take it step by step, and you know, put yourself out there. I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to, you know, overcome, like we were saying, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Call the stations, reach out, and then you wouldn't believe where it goes from there when you just continue to put your best foot forward.
Find a good mentor.
Yeah, you look
Find a
back.
good mentor.
You look back and it's just unbelievable on how far you come. So you are already not starting from nothing. You're doing what you need to do, and just continue doing it. I think, you're doing good by already asking that. So.
Yeah, and to say you have nothing, you have an intangible. You have humility. Like if you can say that, and I promise you don't have nothing. Like we all have some sort of experience or some sort of trait that makes us good for this, and humility is one of them. So to say that is huge.
All right. We're coming to a close. We're coming near the end where we'll start to wrap up. But Amanda, just wanted to check with you. Was that your last question, or did you have another one?
That was our last question.
Okay.
I think it'll segment way nicer into everything we have as far as information goes for those types of candidates.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, as we come to near the end of your episode, we want you to be thinking about what's one word that you would use to describe a successful probationary firefighter. And so we have two sitting here now who are very successful in the 8 months they've been with Hayward, and we'll continue on with that. But if we had to go down the line, if each person could contribute a word to that.
I hope I'd be able to already portray that today on this panel is being grateful.
Do you mind elaborating? I know I said one word, but maybe a brief description with the one word.
I'll try to be brief about it. You know, when you put in that hard work and when you know that you've done your best to get to this point, you're just grateful for the opportunity. And like every day I show up at the fire station, I'm walking up, I'm just like, man, I'm just grateful for this. So I'll keep it short with that. Yeah, grateful.
Absolutely, agree. To me, it's grit. You can't teach people grit. You have to have it within inside of you. Find that why, find that passion. But if you have grit, it'll take you to the moon and then some.
Yeah. For me, it's resilience, and you're going to be throwing a million different things, but just, again, don't quit. Don't quit. Find a way, and we'll help you find a way.
And defend the skills you have.
Yes. Yes. Don't get mad. Don't do what I do.
I'd say humility. I think for, Cap and I work with Leonard. Actually, we asked the same question after station visits of like, we're having all these conversations, like, what do our firefighters think? And that was the number one answer that came back, and I fully agree. I think it leads to growth because you're recognizing you're not there yet. And I feel the same way today, like I'm not there yet. There's a better version of me, and that leads to confidence, and that's what we want on the fire ground. Like our customers need confidence on the fire ground.
Each of you exhibits, you exude a confidence that's very humble, very graceful, but it definitely comes through in the way that you talk about your department, the passion that you have, and just how you've made this the best choice. So beautiful. Thank each of you so much on behalf of myself and the organization. There's so many people that worked really, really hard to be able to make today happen. And so on behalf of everyone that you don't get a chance to see, we want to thank you so much for coming all the way down to Sacramento to be able to film with us today, and just for joining us. It's been a really informative and a really good, really fun time. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. I love it because it's, I had some words written down. If you're witty, if you're quick-witted, if you like laughing, you love working hard, you love taking the harder version of the hike, this is the place. And there's so many other things, but just that humility and so many buzzwords you all have said the entire conversation. And again, just can't thank you enough for being here. Yeah. Cool beans. So Samir, can you tell the people where they can find Hayward next? And I think you may even be there.
So along with FCTC at the Hiring Expo, we'll be in Sacramento at the FCTC booth. So you'll see me there if you want to, and a couple other firefighters. Come by, and if you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer that day.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, if you are interested in applying for Hayward in the future, or even if you still have questions, we strongly encourage you to reach out to them directly. We have links to their website and social media platforms listed in the description below. I do have a few announcements. I promised I would have some announcements for you. Gonna get to those. We want you to know that keep an eye out for more content. And so the Firestar crew was able to go down to the Hayward Fire Department and spent the day with them. And so that was in preparation for today. They were able to put together some information about the pathway or how to become a Hayward firefighter. So you're gonna see their staff, you're gonna see them in the video, and so you'll be able to learn lots more about exactly what it takes to become a Hayward firefighter. So that'll be coming out soon. Keep an eye out for that. In addition to that, just like you heard from Samir, Cal-JAC is putting on its California Firefighter Career Expo. That's happening April 5th in Sacramento. And so Hayward will be there along with 20 other fire departments. So keep an eye out for that. Amanda, the Career Expo is happening at FCTC Sacramento. Can you tell the people the kind of fun stuff that FCTC has in store?
Absolutely. If you're looking to becoming a firefighter, we want you to come join us at the Cal-JAC FCTC Career Expo. Well, we'll walk you through the steps to getting hired, including how to get on the statewide eligibility list by earning your CPAC card and passing the written test. Our proctors will be on site to answer all questions you may have, give prep tips, and help you set up for success. And this event isn't just for candidates. It's a full family experience. Kids can come and take on the KPAT, the physical agility test, just for them. Well, they'll run, climb, and carry just like real firefighters. It's one of the most exciting parts of the Career Expo, and your kids will absolutely love it. Plus, enjoy free food and drinks on us while connecting with the industry professionals. Whether you're serious about joining the fire service or just want to get a great day out with a family and learn a few things, this is an event you do not want to miss. Just make sure you register on our website and let us know you're coming, and we cannot wait to see you there.
So you're going to go ahead and register at caljac.org, and in addition to those things Amanda just mentioned, we'll have ongoing presentations throughout the day. One of the presentations will be a day in the life of a firefighter, and so we know firefighters have much bigger jobs than just putting out fires. What does that consist of? And so they'll be leading a session to be able to talk to you specifically about that. Our Women's Commission will be there. Cal-JAC has a commission to recruit women for the fire service. They'll be telling you all about a day in the life of a firefighter. Also the roadmap to becoming a firefighter. And so today you learned exactly how to become a Hayward firefighter, exactly what Hayward is looking for. There's so many opportunities out there, and sometimes it can be overwhelming or confusing, as some of you have outlined through your questions in the chat. And so we want to demystify that process for you and help answer any of those questions. If you live a little too far away and you can't make it, maybe you're watching from SoCal or you really, really want to be able to attend, we're going to live stream some of those presentations. So keep an eye out for that as well. You can tune in and get the same exact information so you're in the best possible spot. All right, and so next, if you're looking for an EMT class, you really, really want to get your EMT certification, and maybe the funds are just low, you don't qualify for the financial aid or whatever that is in your area. If you live in the San Diego area, please keep an eye out for the Cal-JAC Academy. This is a phenomenal free opportunity for you to get your EMT certification. And so we want you to know we're launching this program. We are now accepting applications, so applications are open. Go to the website, caljacacademy.org, and with that, we'll be hosting an information session that'll also be live. That'll be filmed this Wednesday, and so that's happening Wednesday, March 12th at 10 a.m. Tune in. Listen to information about the Academy, exactly how to apply, lots of information on the website. You can even go and find stories from people that have gone through the Academy in the past, maybe in a different city. But again, free Academy. We would love to have you apply. We'd love to have you join us and get your questions answered. So with that, and that'll be happening right here on YouTube. And so we hope that today you were inspired by the conversation. We know that you heard good things that identified with you personally. I believe Hayward's going to be the place for many of you that are watching, and so we want you to reach out to them, take advantage of their ride-alongs, do the station visits, come out and meet them, and really, really get to know who we've been able to meet and spend so much time with. So we highly recommend that you like and subscribe to this channel, go to each of their platforms listed in the description below, and do the same exact thing. And with that, we hope to see you again. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, at the handle Becoming AFF. And so we just want to say thank you one more time to Hayward. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, peace out, everyone. Bye.